Now, in the battle on Tenochtitlan, you're going to see a large number of the buildings there, such as the Great Temple, be destroyed by the Spanish. Okay, and so they get destroyed during the battle. The Spanish will use their cannons because they have some cannons with them to destroy some of these buildings. And so basically, after the battle, Tenochtitlan is going to be in shambles. Right, a lot of the buildings will be destroyed. And the reason why the buildings got destroyed is because the Spanish needed to, because the Aztecs were hiding in those buildings and using them to their advantage to attack the Spaniards, right? And so that's why they had to destroy the buildings so that the Spanish could take away that advantage that the Aztecs had. Okay, so afterwards, Tenochtitlan is pretty much destroyed. So at this point, you're going to start to see the Spanish under the leadership of Cortez start to establish their government there in central Mexico. Some of the conquistadors would be given the rights of encomiendas, right? And so this is going to establish the encomienda system. And so what is that? Let's explain. And so the encomienda system, this is a system of labor. All right, it's a labor system, and so some of the conquistadors, they wanted to be paid for their role that they played in the conquest, right? They wanted wealth in some form or another. And so Cortez decided to give them encomiendas. So what is an encomienda? So let's say, for example, you were one of these conquistadors, right? And you wanted payment. Well, Cortez would give you the rights to labor and tribute of specific areas. Okay, so maybe you would receive one village as your encomienda, or maybe 2 villages or 3 villages, right? And you would have the rights to tribute from those villages as well as the labor of the individuals who live in those villages. Okay, you would not get the rights to the land, right? You wouldn't own the land; these are not land grants, but you would have the rights to the tribute and labor of the people who live there, right? And tribute we talked about earlier under the Aztec system of tribute, and basically the Spanish are going to leave that tribute system that everybody hated in place. Right? They're going to learn about it. They're going to learn which towns were under this tribute system, and they're going to expect those towns to now give tribute to them, the Spanish, instead of the Aztecs, right? Because the Aztecs have been conquered. And so you'll have these conquistadors gaining these encomiendas, and they'll have these labor rights and tribute rights over certain towns that were under the Aztec Empire, right? After the downfall of the Aztecs. But Cortez does not stop there. The conquest is going to continue and expand outside of the realm of the Aztecs. And so Cortez will send men to different areas, such as in western Mexico, as well as to the south into Guatemala, El Salvador, Oaxaca, Chiapas, and you're going to have the Spanish going into these various areas. Sometimes individuals will work with the Spanish and allow the Spanish to gain control of the area and work something out with them, and they may gain special privileges because of doing that. But then there are other times where you'll have groups resisting the Spanish. They'll go to war with them, and eventually the Spanish would gain control of those lands. One area in particular in Honduras is going to have a little bit of controversy surrounding it. Cortez is going to send a man named Cristobal de Olid down there, and Olid is going to turn his back on Cortez. Basically, Cristobal de Olid, his plan is once he gets to Honduras, he's going to conquer it, but not for Cortez. He decides to align himself with the governor of Cuba, Cortez's rival, right? Governor Velasquez. So Olid basically is going to turn his back on Cortez, and he's planning to conquer Honduras for Velasquez, right? So Velasquez will have some rights, and he may be able to gain some control. He may be able to gain rights to the land, the wealth, encomiendas, etc., right? So there's this rivalry going on, right? This continued rivalry of Cortez and Governor Velasquez. And so Olid, who used to be friends with Cortez, is going to betray him. Right, so he's going down to Honduras to conquer this place for Velasquez. Well, Cortez is going to hear about this, and he gets very angry, and he's going to basically send a military force after Olid and try to capture Olid and stop him and kill him and basically conquer Honduras for Cortez. But eventually Cortez is so upset that even though he sends a force down to Honduras to attack Olid, he decides to go himself as well. So Cortez is going to put together a large group, and he will travel down to Honduras as well because he's trying to stop Olid from claiming it for Velasquez, Governor Velasquez. And so this is going to be the Honduras expedition where Cortez, he's marching to a place to conquer. This time he's marching to Honduras. He has a large group with him. He's even taking some of the Aztec nobility with him because he doesn't want to leave them behind, because maybe when he's gone they might be able to start a rebellion and take the empire back, right? So he's taking the Aztec nobility with him, including the final Aztec emperor, Cuauhtemoc. Cuauhtemoc basically was made emperor after Moctezuma was killed. Okay, so he's even on this Honduras expedition as well. He eventually would be killed while on the expedition, the last Aztec emperor. And so Cortez is going to be leading this expedition. It's a horrible expedition. They have to go through a bunch of rough terrain. People get sick and die, but eventually Cortez makes his way down to Honduras. He gets there expecting to find Olid or to face off against him, but that group that Cortez had already sent ahead of him had already captured Olid, and they had put an end to Olid's expedition. Okay, so Cortez basically is just going to try to establish a settlement there while he's down in Honduras, right? So it was a big mistake really for him to go down there in the first place, because while Cortez was gone on this long expedition down to Honduras, while he was away from Mexico City, right, the capital of the former Tenochtitlan, a lot of individuals are going to try to take away his control, right? So basically, you're going to have individuals there in Mexico City who are going to be spreading rumors about Cortez. For one, they're saying he's dead, right? He died on the Honduras expedition, which is not true. They're also going to be spreading other rumors about him and sending letters back to Spain about Cortez and his poor conduct, saying that he's been stealing, right? He's been stealing Aztec treasure. He hasn't been sending the Spanish crown their due, right? The royal fifth. They haven't been sending the Spanish crown their 20% of all treasure like they're supposed to. So they're basically saying that Cortez is corrupt. And he's been stealing from the Spanish crown, right? So they're tarnishing his name. They're even taking away some of the encomiendas that Cortez had given to his conquerors, his conquistadors, right? And so this is all happening in Mexico City while Cortez is gone on the Honduras expedition. But he's going to return. Cortez makes it back to Mexico City, and everyone realizes, oh, he's not dead, right? And he regains control there. But he realizes that he has to actually go to Spain himself, because his reputation has really been damaged while he was off in Honduras, because you have individuals spreading rumors about him. So he has to go to Spain himself and meet with the Spanish king, Charles V, and try to smooth things out. Okay, so Cortez will travel to Spain, and he's going to bring some Aztec nobles with him to show to the emperor. He's also going to bring some examples of plants and animals and other foods and treasures from Mexico, and give them as gifts to the Spanish king, right, Charles V. And so basically, you're going to see Cortez smoothing things out. He's going to schmooze Charles V, basically, and Charles V is going to allow Cortez to pick out his own encomiendas, his own personal encomiendas, and Cortez does. He picks out the richest lands where he could have the rights to the tribute and labor of the individuals who live in those lands. And so he picks 22 of the richest towns to be his encomiendas, his own personal encomiendas. So Cortez definitely benefits from the Spanish conquest, but he is not made governor of New Spain, which is what he wanted. Right? He's not going to be the governor of New Spain. He's just made the captain general, right? A military position. And he's also given a title, right? He becomes a marquis, and that's one of the noble titles. So he becomes one of the titled nobility, right? He does rise in the social hierarchy. He gains encomiendas, right? He has the rights to the tribute and labor of people in 22 towns, and so he does benefit greatly from this conquest. But the Spanish crown, from this point forward, is going to take more and more control of Mexico at this point, right? So they want to govern Mexico. They don't want Cortez governing because he is very ambitious, and he may try to break away and start his own kingdom from the Spanish Empire, right? So that's why he's not put in that position.